Hey Freedom Lovers, this is Dr. Peterson Pierre with America's Frontline Doctors bringing you today's Daily Dose. On October 15th of 2024, Dr. Simone Gold and the AFLDS legal team filed a bold amici curiae brief with the Supreme Court of the United States in support of the respondents in United States versus Skrmetti. The respondents are being sued by the Biden-Harris administration over SB 1, Tennessee's law that prohibits gender-affirming care for minors. In short, they're asking the High Court to allow the state of Tennessee to enforce its own law, which protects the health and safety of children by prohibiting these dangerous interventions. Seems reasonable. The government, which is the petitioner, argues that the state's law discriminates on the basis of sex. How? Violating the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. However, simply assessing the lines drawn by SB 1 reveals the absence of any sex-based classification. The law creates two groups. 1. Minors seeking to use puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for gender transition. And 2. Minors seeking to use puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for other medical purposes. Both groups include both sexes, defeating the government's equal protection argument. Just as an aside, that administration seems so incompetent. They can't even get their own facts straight. There's no logic behind what they do. It is pure emotion. And thank God Almighty, that administration is gone. Not saying the next one's perfect, but let's at least use some reason. Minors, as is self-evident, are incapable of giving true and legal informed consent to medical mutilation, despite the overwhelming evidence that these treatments result in permanent disfigurement, ushering children into lifelong medical misery instead of compassionate care. Doctors who once took an oath to do no harm are now performing gender-affirming interventions on children. As a result, the lives of countless children and their families are being destroyed at the hands of a multi-billion-dollar industry that prioritizes profits over health. The rapid expansion of the medical mutilation industry represents a tremendous threat to our national identity, security, and future. To address this growing threat, our lawmakers must take critical action by passing legislation that protects the nation's children and holds rogue doctors accountable for their crimes against humanity. It's clear that SB 1 is a proper exercise of the police power of the state of Tennessee to regulate these dangerous interventions to protect Tennessee minors from the tragically predictable consequences of medical mutilation. As the medical harms of these treatments are well documented, state regulation is not only completely lawful and appropriate, it's mandatory. AFLDS attorney David Dahlia states, quote, "There's an alarming likelihood that these minor children will bitterly regret these mutilations. Studies show that as many as 85% of children grow out of gender dysphoria. As I learned the reality of gender-affirming care, I became appalled. These surgeries and treatments are grotesque and lead to a lifetime of medications, medical complications, repeat surgeries, and regret." End quote. Surgeon Dr. Ethan Haim said, quote, "They are offering a physiological solution to a psychological problem." End quote. States routinely regulate other dangerous surgeries and treatments like psychosurgery, child sterilizations, genital mutilations, and euthanasia. Quote, "We urge everyone to study the grisly facts and research about the medical mutilation of minors as exposed by Tennessee, Alabama, 22 other states, America's Frontline Doctors, and 51 other groups, all supporting the state of Tennessee in the Skrmetti case. Tennessee's lawful exercise of its police power to protect minor children from lifetime mutilation should be strongly affirmed. The age of majority should be required for any such drastic decisions, end quote. AFLDS founder and president Dr. Simone Gold added, quote, "Our laws on the books for informed consent are very clear and must be enforced. Children cannot give informed consent. This responsibility has been entrusted to the parent. However, there is no common law precedent that allows someone to consent to the medical mutilation of another. No third party, not parent nor government, can empower a minor to consent to medical mutilation. All of the childhood procedures happening right now are illegal because no person can legally grant permission to cause lifelong health complications and sterility for another person," end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, only the truth will set you free. Stay tuned for the next Daily Dose.